Hello and welcome to Bits Play Games! In this video, I'm going to go over my hopes for Nintendo's next Mario Kart game, Mario Kart 9. We got a little bit of a taste of what the next Mario Kart is going to bring in the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer, but we only scratched the surface it seems. So in this video, I'm going to go over what I hope Nintendo brings to their next entry in the Mario Kart series. So let's jump in. First off, I hope in the next Mario Kart game, they bring back Mission Mode from Mario Kart DS. I loved Mission Mode. It was so nice to take a break from the standard races to try different kinds of challenges, like driving through tire gates, collecting coins, and even driving through a section of a course backwards, all within different set time limits. The DS mode even had boss battles. It would be so cool to have a modern take on this mode in Mario Kart 9, while implementing the different gameplay and more recent bosses from games like Odyssey or Super Mario 3D World. I could see missions where you're on an anti-gravity section of a track going through gates quickly, and fighting bosses like the Ruined Dragon from Odyssey or Histocrat from Super Mario 3D World. Mission mode would just bring so much more variety and replay value to the next game. It would also be cool to compete against your friends' time in different challenges with online leaderboards. Mission mode is a good start, but I would want them to go one step further and add a story mode that's something similar to Diddy Kong Racing story mode. The story mode wouldn't have to be anything world-changing, but it would be cool to have some kind of hub world to drive around in while interacting with different Mario characters, and even driving your kart to the DK garage to get some upgrades to it. I think the teaser from the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer gives me a little hope because of how big the track looked. And it shows me we might be dealing with some kind of open areas, which hopefully includes some kind of hub area. Speaking of the teaser of Mario Kart 9 and the Switch 2 reveal trailer, it might have dashed my hopes that Nintendo will bring some kind of Double Dash mode to the next Mario Kart game. Double Dash was one of my favorite Mario Karts. I just really enjoyed the co-op multiplayer mode from Double Dash, where each player would control one of the characters in the kart, one player would do the steering, and the other would decide when and where to use some of the items, and even help lean into turns to take them better. And during the race, you could switch roles whenever you wanted. I just really felt like the teamwork could be tested in this mode, and it was nice if you had a younger sibling or a significant other who might not be as familiar with the driving mechanics, but where it would make them feel involved and feel like they're contributing to the win. To have a Double Dash mode as an option in Mario Kart 9 would be amazing. Just imagine having a buddy come over, teaming up against other teams online and competing in tournaments together. I understand it could potentially be an issue to have two characters in a kart as a separate mode due to kart and track design, but I think they could pull it off. I know the karts in Double Dash were designed to have multiple characters to ride in them, but I think even if they just did an extended design of the already available karts, I think this mode could work. But I just have a feeling after watching that teaser that might not be something we're getting, but I still have some hope. Now let's talk about what I hope the online mode looks like for this game. The online multiplayer for Mario Kart 8 is really fun as it is. I find it's pretty easy to get into matches, and the matchmaking pairs you up with people around the same skill level as you based on their point system, which I think works pretty well. There's custom tournaments you can join, and even though it's a little clunky, you can join in the normal worldwide matches with friends who aren't with you. And if you only have one Switch, you can have someone else join you locally via split screen to compete online. For a Nintendo Switch Online game, I feel like I've had very little lag in the races I've played, and I always found I would get into races pretty quickly. So pretty much, Mario Kart 8 has a pretty good online mode to start, but there's definitely some changes I'd want for the next game. First off, a small change I'd like is if you could join a party of friends online, so that you could all join a lobby at the same time instead of having someone join the race, having to spectate at least one race before being able to actually join. I appreciate being able to join friends online, but I feel like being able to queue together would just make everything a little smoother. I also feel like this would be necessary if they add a double dash mode that I mentioned earlier. Something else I think would be cool for the online would be a cup mode where you commit to a whole cup of races in an online session. It would be cool to see how many flower cup, mushroom cups, and star cups, and so on other players have won during their online sessions. I know you could run into an issue with people leaving or disconnecting during these multiple race sessions, but I think it would be fine just to replace them with a computer if they leave. Better yet, they could pay attention to how you race while you play online or single player and create a CPU tailored to your tendencies, kind of like how they did in Smash Brothers with the amiibo. So they'd keep track of how you take turns, how often you drift, when you use items, what items you like using more or hold on to longer, and how often you fall off the edge or hit walls. Like I said, it's kind of similar to what they did with the amiibo, how you can kind of train your amiibo to fight like you. So I think that would be a pretty cool feature. They could also maybe use the feature where they pay attention to how you race to when you race ghosts of friends. Maybe you could just race their, doppelganger and just get some, then the races would be slightly different than just racing the same ghosts every time. I know I said the wait between races isn't long in Mario Kart 8, but I think a cool addition would be if you select the track you want and the kart combo you want and get sent off to a battle room where you just drive around battling the other players while you wait for a race to start. A lot of games do some variation of this, like Call of Duty or even Splatoon 3 while you wait for a match. Albeit, in that case, it's just with friends. I think it would be a very cool way to just keep you focused and locked in before a race. Now, when Mario Kart 8 came out 10 years ago, it was amazing even back then, but it had one glaring flaw, which was the battle mode. Deluxe revamped the battle mode and added 5 different modes for it: Renegade Roundup, Balloon Battle, Coin Runners, Shine Thief, and Ba-Bomb Blast. This battle mode for Mario Kart 8 is definitely pretty varied, but I would like more than 8 maps for Mario Kart 9 and even more modes. I think a Capture the Flag mode would be pretty cool, and a popular addition, and maybe a tag mode. Maybe something similar to the Foxtel game in Fall Guys, but in this case it would be like a Tanuki Tell or something. There's plenty more modes they can do. I just hope they give the battle mode even more love in the next game. Now, what makes a Mario Kart game are the tracks, karts, and the gameplay. For Mario Kart 9, I don't really want them to reinvent the wheel because if it's not broke, don't fix it. However, to make it a fresh experience, I understand there has to be some changes. In terms of the tracks, I still hope there's zero gravity sections, which I assume there will be. I feel like Mario Kart games usually retain their added features for the next iterations in terms of gameplay, like how Mario Kart 7 introduced underwater sections and the glider, and how that was added in Mario Kart 8, or how the changes for the drifting evolved from game to game. Another reason they'll probably keep the anti-gravity sections is because they'll probably want to bring some of the tracks from Mario Kart 8 to Mario Kart 9, since there's a lot of them. From the small amount of footage we got from Mario Kart 9, we didn't see any anti-gravity sections, but I still have hope that they will be in the game. So, if they keep the anti-gravity, what could they add to make the tracks feel fresh? One idea is to have a weather system for the game. This might be far-fetched, but if tracks could have different weather conditions randomly each time you played them, it would mix things up with traction and even the gliding if the winds are strong. Levels that have a specific theme like snow or ice wouldn't have rain, but maybe sometimes there's a snowstorm with less visibility. They already kind of did this in the Animal Crossing level for the Mario Kart 8 Booster Course Pass, but I'm talking on a larger scale with more variations. I think that the constant changes to the courses would add variation and make them feel more alive. But if they did something like this, I could see there being less tracks since it would probably be more work. It would be really cool to play with these settings in a customized tournament online as well. I'm not too sure about the specs for the Switch 2 yet, but if its internal memory is upgraded enough to where it could load new environments quickly, kinda like how the PS5 can do it, it'd be cool to have levels where the environment completely changes mid-race. I feel like that would be a cool gimmick to mix things up for the next game. you would be going down DK Mountain at one point and maybe go through a rift or something that takes you to Yoshi's Island. There's a lot of possibilities with that, but only if the Switch hardware can allow it. What I just described seems very similar to the gameplay mechanic for the new Sonic racing game, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I promise I wrote the script for this video before that trailer came out, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. In any case, I think a mechanic along the lines of this would be really cool for the new tracks for Mario Kart 9. So, in the teaser for Mario Kart 9, we could see an item that kind of reminded me of a Wonder Seed in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. If you played the game, you would know that when you touched a Wonder Flower in Wonder, the level completely changes and you need to get the Wonder Seed to get it to revert back to normal. And if there was some kind of mechanic like that in Mario Kart 9, I feel like that would be a really fitting way to make the levels change and keep it interesting as you play. Items in Mario Kart can be a pretty heated topic for discussion. It's easy to say that they should add a ton of items for the next game, but we know that would be incredibly hard to balance. I know some people don't care about balance for Mario Kart, but this isn't a Mario Party. For items, I hope they have around the same amount as Mario Kart 8, but they swap some out for new and unique power-ups. I think an Ice Flower would be cool, where if you hit someone they'd freeze and kind of slide in a straight direction for a certain distance, and they wouldn't be able to steer. Or maybe a Cape Feather power-up, where if you time it right, you can hit an item back at the other player who threw it, or a Double Cherry item that can make a copy of yourself for a short time. There's a lot of possibilities for different power-ups to really just change the feel of the races compared to Mario Kart 8. Kart Stats started with Mario Kart Double Dash and has evolved in each subsequent Mario Kart game, while also adding and increasing the amount of customization available. I loved switching up the carts and the wheels in Mario Kart 7 and 8, and in 9, I hope they add even more options for the customization. Even if you could add a different engine or different paint jobs to change the stats, it would be pretty cool. I think the mouse feature that it seems the Switch 2 will have will make this feature for customization just all the more enjoyable. I want them to add more options, but not too much where it makes it feel overwhelming. Maybe different character outfits would be a cool option to play with that could impact the stats. I also don't think it would hurt to add the option to change the color of some of the carts to just let people express themselves a little bit more. Something else going back to Mario Kart Double Dash is that there was character-specific items, which I enjoyed. A cool way to bring this back without forcing you to be certain characters for certain items would be to have card attachments that determines what special items you get during the race. This of course would add to the balance issues, so maybe they wouldn't do this, but I think it would be really cool. The last major thing I hope they add in Mario Kart 9 is a track creator. I feel like it's something people have been asking for a long time, and I think it's time for it. I don't think they have to do anything super crazy with it, and I think most people would understand that the track creator isn't going to let you make tracks that are close to the ones included in the game. But if you add enough features for it, I think people could get super creative and make some pretty cool tracks. And with the Switch touchscreen and with something I mentioned in my Switch 2 prediction video, with that notoriously discussed C button, I think that's going to let you cast to your TV screen and use your Switch as a second screen. Watch that video if you want to hear more about that idea. But if they did that, it would be so awesome to use the screen as a touchscreen, kind of like the Wii U, to design a track. I know I'm living in the clouds right now, but I really hope that's a thing. There's so many possibilities for Mario Kart 9. Mario Kart 8 made it really hard to follow up because of all the extra tracks they added and all the features they added along the way. And I think with Mario Kart 9, they have the opportunity to really just mix up the series. And from the little teaser we got, just from the style of the game and the graphics, I think we're on our way to that. So let me know what you think in the comments and what you want for the next Mario Kart game. Let me know what you think of what I mentioned and if you agree or disagree. But anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!